Hello, I'm Rick Yanez, Vice President of New Market Development with Knight, and today we're going to talk about our new product for flexible endoscope pre-cleaning we call FlushTech GI. FlushTech GI is an automated flexible endoscope channel flushing aid designed to eliminate the use of syringe flushing and greatly increase the speed and cleaning efficiency of an endoscope prior to final disinfection. FlushTech is not only a very efficient and speedy system for pre-cleaning of channels, but also logs productivity data and operational conditions for viewing on the display, or in advanced mode allows you to track each scope by serial number and capture each scope processed by time, date, and serial number. It should be noted that ScopeTech is not intended for disinfection of flexible endoscopes. It's merely a cleaning and pre-cleaning system to replace a syringe. Okay, so let's talk about how it works. Through the use of a field-proven high-flow electric diaphragm pump mounted in this chassis, your detergent cleaning solutions and rinse water are pushed through the channels with the press of a single button. To flush the recommended manufacturer's 90 mils of detergent solution, the average time to flush is only 15 seconds. Compare that with ordinary syringe flushing, and time savings as well as the physical effort is greatly reduced. FlushTech provides two flushing tube outputs on the front panel, one for main flush and a second for auxiliary. The main flush output will provide flow, typically that's run through the suction port on your flexible endoscope, located here, and flow through the air pipe located here. For scopes that have auxiliary water fittings or elevator wire channels, we use the auxiliary flush output and would attach, in this case on this Olympus duodenoscope, through the elevator wire channel located here. To give you a look at what the flow looks like, we'll hold the suction and the air pipe flushing tubes here and start our flush. And you can see that moving quite a bit of flow through the channels with the aid of a pulsating output that helps to remove the contaminants more effectively. And we can see by the display, we're counting down, and at the end of our flushing cycle, which was 20 seconds, it gives you that little beep to let the cleaning technician know that that cycle has been completed. In order to select single or dual channel flush, depending on the scope you're going to process, use these buttons, single flush or dual flush, to select which mode for which scope you're going to process. So if we add our auxiliary flushing tube here, and we select dual flush and start our flush, you'll see that we have a pulsating delivery where we're alternating between the main output and the auxiliary output to alternate our flow going through the channels of the endoscope. So that high-powered flush, and with a single connection and parallel processing with this system, we can flush all of the ports on the endoscope in less time than competitive units. Okay. For demonstration purposes, we're going to just show you briefly what the cleaning technician would do. So here's our processing sink. We've got our FlushTech, obviously. We're going to take our suction tube for our flush. We're going to drop it into the sink and make sure that it sinks to the bottom of the sink. Then we're going to grab our scope. In this case, the duodenoscope, we've got an elevator wire channel located here. I'm going to thread that fitting on that's supplied by the manufacturer that we merely connect onto our flushing tube that comes with the unit. drop it in the water, make sure that we've got our channel plugs in place, our port plug, our biopsy port plug. Grab the other end of the scope, connect the air pipe, connect to the suction port here, and drop it into our sink. Now we're ready to flush. At this point, because I've got my elevator wire channel hooked up, we're running both flows to all channels in the scope. I'm going to select dual. I'm actually already there. And I just press start. And we can see by the flow coming out of the distal tip that we're getting all channels flushed at a high rate, and a high flow. And that's the end of the cycle. Very simple, very straightforward, easy to use. Now that's the basic mode. If you're not using serial numbers to track the scopes. In addition to the pre-programmed flush, rinse, or purge time that comes up on the display after each operation, operators can manually override that default timing by simply pressing the up button or the down button, and those timings will increment or decrement by 5 seconds for each button press. So if the operator decides that they can rinse in less time and that time is different than the default time, and that's the way they want to run it manually, then they can do that without having to go into the system and change the programming times every time they process a scope. So again, you'll default to a program time. Could be 20 seconds, could be 15, whatever it is, but the technician wants to increment or decrement the time and then hit start to begin processing the scope. It's just that quick and that simple. In order to pause the system at any point in time, you can press the start button and then hit the button again, and it will restart and continue to run. To end the cycle, you can press the dual flush enter button, hold it down, and that will end the flush. All right, in advanced mode, FlushTech will allow you to track each of the endoscopes processed by the technician by serial number. In order to do that, we provide you an Excel template that allows you to program the serial numbers for each of the scopes in the hospital inventory. Using this form, you simply select by this drop down each of the scope types that you want. In this case, we'll select colonoscope. It has a serial number of 11111. That's our practice. It's our practice template, if you will. And you just go down through the list and you can select each of the scopes and serial numbers appropriately and attach the serial numbers. Once you've compiled your entire list, you're going to save that as a text file in delimited text. I can find it right here. So now that file for that location, for that scope inventory, will be saved as setup.txt. So I'm simply going to save that to my desktop. I already have a file there, so I'm going to go ahead and overwrite that one. That's okay. Yes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that file to my USB. I'm going to take that USB and I'm going to upload that list of those scope serial numbers via that TXT format to my system. We'll show you that next. So in order to upload my scope data, I hold down the enter key here. And I'm going to go to the menu. that says press up to start, load new setup into flush system memory. I'm going to take my USB, put it into the port. I'm going to look to see that the little green light turned on, that my USB flash drive power light is on. I know my file is on there. It's the only file that's on there. I'm going to press up. And once I do that, we can see both lights are flashing, indicating that it's reading what's on the drive. Now it comes back with a message that says that it's done. Pull my drive out. I can close the little watertight door. Now I can get out of the menu systems by holding down the enter key. And now I can see that my default screen comes back and it asks me to press up or down to select the scope. So we go up, and that shows me my first serial number, which we saw in our setup file for the colonoscope. And if we go all the way to the end, we can see that we've got up to 21 scopes listed. So the technician, before they started to flush, they would select which scope based on what the serial number is on the scope itself, which is usually on this data plate over here.